Everyone, welcome back to the channel. And this is from Leetcode Daily Challenge, problem number 1020, number of enclaves. We will just skip this part and I'll explain you the problem using this example. So basically, what we'll have to do is we have to figure out the number of ones in this given matrix which cannot be reached from the borders. Okay. So, and how you can reach, for example, you cannot go diagonal. You can just go in four directions, which are up, down, right side, and the left side. Okay. So we only have these four directions to move in from any singular tile. Okay. And diagonal movements are not allowed. And using this, we have to figure out how many ones we cannot reach. Okay. So the simplest solution and the best I would say will be to use a DFS approach, right? And what we'll be doing in the solution is to basically I'll run a DFS on each border elements. For example, this is my border, right? First row, the last row, first column, and the last column, right? These are my borders. So I'll run a DFS on each of the ones in the border. Okay. For example, we had a one over here, right? So I'll run a DFS on this approach and I'll try to check if I can, move to any other ones or not. Okay. If we will be able to move to some other one, then we will, increment in one of our variable. Otherwise, uh, it's going to be zero. So what I'll be doing is I'll count the number of ones we have in the overall matrix and I'll check how many ones I can reach from the border elements. So let's move to the solution. Okay. So I'm gonna follow a very, the VFS template where you need the number of rows, number of columns. So number of rows is basically your length of grid. Okay. Length of like number of elements in each sub-array of grid is your number of columns, right? Next thing is you want to have a set in which you can use your store your visited node so that you don't end up in an infinite loop. This done. Next is I want to define how many lamps I have and how many lamps I can reach to from the border elements. Initially, I'll assign these two with zeros. Okay. Now I'll run a loop in what was that rows and I'll pick the columns from columns. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to check if each of my element in grid and we can simply just add on all the elements to number of lands. So if there will be a zero at the current value, then it will have no impact, right? So number of land will remain the same. Otherwise, if we found any one, then we will increment that, right? Number of land plus equals to what was it? Grid, row, column. Okay, this done. Next, what I wanted to do is I wanted to just run DFS on all the ones. We didn't want it to, run on zero elements, right? So I'll be writing a condition to check that. So if my grid, um, if the element at this particular index is not zero, and I have not visited the element yet, not in visited, what else? And of course, like we'll have to just run for the first row, last row, first column, and the last column, right? So to concise that, what I'm gonna do is row should be in what is the possible value? Zero and rows minus one, right? And or I think or should be the condition over here, or call columns in zero and columns minus one. Let me just separate out this one, to increase the readability of the code. Okay. If we get any, if we satisfy this condition, then I will run a DFS on with current indexes. Okay. And I'll add whatever result I'll get from this DFS in my number of teachable facts. Okay. And at the end, I just have to subtract out number of reachable lens from number of total lens. Okay. But now we have to write the main helper DFS function, right? So for that, we will define a helper function and we will accept two parameters in it, right? Now we'll have to write the base cases as we do in DFS. So if my row is less than zero, or column is less than zero, or my number of rows gets equal to rows, which means we are exceeding the index, or column is exceeding the available index, or if the current value is zero, current value is zero, what else? Yeah, and we have to check if we have visited this or not. So row comma column in visited. So if this condition satisfies, let me break this out somewhere. Yeah, include. If this condition satisfied, I want to return a zero. Okay. Otherwise, what I want to do is I want to add my current row and column in visited, right? I will initialize my result with one because of course, like this should not be one because we have already terminated all those conditions where the possibility of result was zero. So it should initiate with one. And what I'm going to do is I am going to check for all the four directions, right? So which was one cell above, below, right, and left. So for that, I'm going to use, let me just copy paste this first four times. One, two, three, four, four. Sorry. And at the end, we will just return result. Okay, so now let's fix this. So we wanted to check the next element, column plus one, previous element minus one, element below, and element above. Okay, so this will calculate, this will check for all the corresponding elements, and then we can just let's check out the test cases. Okay, tuple object is array. Sorry, this should have been set. So let's see. So the test cases got accepted. Let's submit for further evaluation. And the solution also got accepted. And I would say like we performed decent. We are around the half marks. So thanks so guys for watching out the video and stay tuned for the upcoming ones. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you.